Namaste, namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Ji ki Jai. This is what happens now. Zoom in. I'm looking at the wrong camera. I'm supposed to look here.
The glasses.
Glasses? She told you to tell me? I can't help.
I don't know why she did that.
I got them. I haven't got them. Okay, one of you then read the glass.
What?
I can read.
Radha says it, it's amazing.
Very authoritative.
Because I saw how he speaks to the kids, it's like the same thing. So that's it.
Anyone remembers where we were? I need glasses to find glasses, Shivani. No. 74 or 75? Okay, that's good enough. So 74 is, what is knowledge? What is the universe? What are the thoughts? Like, I am the body, or the body is mine. The sage is imperishable and sorrowless. He is self alone. What is knowledge? Where is the universe? What are thoughts? Like, I am the body, or the body is mine. The sage is imperishable and sorrowless. He is the self alone. What happened to all the things we knew? Anytime we feel like we come into satsang to know more, I want to know spirituality. We realize that everything we pick up is dropped soon. Either in satsang itself or life forces us to drop it. It is a coming to an emptiness in terms of concepts. What can we truly say? Even freedom we cannot say. Bondage we can definitely not say. So what is knowledge? What is the universe? The relationship only changes. If you are so convinced that we are some object within this universe, you see, the universe is at times like a glimmering light, at times like nothing at all, at times, wow, what a magnificent creation. What are the thoughts like, I am the body, or the body is mine? These are the two relationships with this appearance called the body. The first relationship is this idea that I am this itself. But many actually don't have it as severely as they feel they do. It is the second one. This body is mine. That's why we can say things like, I rest only after I will die. Uh, my body is very tired today. I wonder which body I had before this or I will have after this. All these can only come from the relationship of there being I, which is the owner of this body. Just like there is an I who is the owner of their relationships, the owner of the house, the owner of anything phenomenal. Where is that one? The one that has the bank account, the one that has a job. Where is this one? The sage is imperishable and sorrowless. He is self alone. So it is not that the sage's body becomes something special. The body should become imperishable. It's not that. But the sage is not the body. And Sri Bhagwan, Sri Ramana Maharishi was coming close to dropping his body. And the disciples crying out of pain, they said, please, Father, don't leave us. He said, where would I go? Don't mistake this body to be me. I am always here. So this consciousness itself, the purest expression. Do it very softly when you come. Children, who children are these?
Father, can I just say that it was 73.
73?
73. Yeah, Nietzsche will kill me if I don't remind you. And
Yes, maybe some
I didn't
backlog.
have it at my fingertips. Thank you.
No, thank you. So we'll do this one and then we do 73. The sage is imperishable and sorrowless. He is the self alone. So the coming to the end of suffering we've discussed many times. 73 Nitya. Where is Nitya?
She's at work right now.
Oh, okay. 73. Until self realization, illusion prevails. The sage lives without thoughts of I or mine. His connection to illusion is severed. Until self realization, the illusion prevails. The sage lives without thoughts of I or mine. His connection to illusion is severed. So it is the connection which is severed in this way. The sense of I and mine. So often we've said, isn't it? It is the me and mine that drops away. That is the source of all attachment. There is a me and there is a world in which some things are mine. This body is mine, but the rest is not mine. The objects in my house are mine, but the rest are not mine. But where are all of them appearing? You see, where does this come from? How come when I see a certain set of objects, these seem to be mine? When I see another set of objects, those are not mine. Who is the me to which they belong or they don't belong? We see some bodies and they are my children. We see another set of bodies and they are not my children. How does that distinguishing come? Who is the me at the center of this? Is it tangible, this me? And there are many ways in which this illusion plays out. We've talked about the various ways in which this feels like this is my body, the intimacy of the sensations, the centrality of this visual perspective. The visual difference in this appearance of this body so close, the appearance of another body not so close. Somewhere even the ego is searching for that kind of closeness, intimacy, but it's looking for it in the wrong way. It feels like it will complete itself by the attaining of something from outside, but it is a misrepresentation of what you are. You need nothing to complete you. And yet, funnily enough, this discovery itself is completion. Why like that? Because if I had the idea that I need something to complete myself, then it can give that. That is how the power of belief is designed. These ideas, which could be completely funny, can be believed in, and it can seem like they are true. You see, that's why it is the pretense of separation. It can feel like they are true. Anything that has the limited me at the center is just an idea. Can we go as universal as that? Anything which has a limited me at the center is just an idea. It's not the unchanging reality or the unchanging truth that the sage is talking about. So notice that illusion prevails not in the sense of the appearance of this phenomenal world that can still appear and disappear, but it is the connection which is severed. And what is the connection? The idea that there is a me, an individual I, and the idea that something is mine and something is not mine. Just look at even the phenomenal world around you right now. Without the filter of these ideas of me and mine, without having a reference of an individual entity at the center of it, what do you find? Any separation will not be there. It is just an idea. So that was 73. 75 is just an abrupt paragraph. As you can tell, I've never read this before. So 75 is when a weak man gives up meditation, he falls prey to whims and desires. That's it. That's the entire paragraph, the shortest paragraph in the whole Ashtavakra. When a weak man gives up meditation, he falls prey to whims and desires. So probably what happened is that one of the students came to Ashtavakra and said, but you know, you said No longer do you need meditation. Meditation also perpetuates the meditator identity, give up on all practices like that. And then I've given up my meditation, and look at what's happened to me. I'm just getting attracted to all the various objects in this world. I'm just getting caught up in all the notions of myself. That's why the Sikh said, when a weak man gives up meditation, he feels prey to whims and desires. That is why this knowledge of Ashtavakra is traditionally only shared with those who are at some level established in Satsang. They had openness to the idea that they are not the limited entity, the ego. What does it mean by openness? Are you open to the idea that you are not something which is limited? Are you open to the idea you are not something at all? You're not a thing. Is it possible that you're not a thing? If there's even a slight yes, then that much is enough for satsang. Is it possible that you are not a limited entity, not a thing? Is it possible that you don't have boundaries? Is it possible that you were never born and you will never die? Notice all your buts. All the buts will come from resistance to this idea, resistance to this recognition. But this truth will ultimately have to prevail because when you check really, this is what you find about yourself. And you check on the nature of this witness, you don't find a thing sitting there. When you go looking for reality really, you don't find something sitting there. That's why I say that when you bow down in your inner citadel, who do you encounter? Is that a person? Is that the ego? Who is in your heart? Even hearing truth, a man of dull intellect holds on to illusion through effort and suppression. He may appear outwardly composed, but inside he craves the world. I remember this beautiful interaction that happened. One of the first few days when I was in Satsang, this one comes to Guruji, he's sitting on the hot seat in Tiruvannamalai. And Guruji invites him to check, who is this I? And he says, but I'm not the doer. How can I do the inquiry? Then Guruji says, so then, something like this, I'm paraphrasing it. He says, so what do you want? He says, I want nothing, what do you want? And Guruji tells him, it's lies what you speak, because you're filled to the brim with desire. You're speaking these big words. This is what can happen when we get very Advaita in our concepts. But we still haven't dropped the limited notion of what we are. As long as we still consider ourselves to be something limited, this play of desire will continue. It wants something. Its limited identity wants to be seen as something special, wants to become something special, filled to the brim with desire. Because the ego also actually cannot deal with its measliness. The ego also, because it's only a aspect of consciousness itself, cannot deal with its limitation. So it wants more and more and more. That's why I said where there is duality, there is bound to be desire and doership. Once it is seen that there are no two, and nothing to want, nothing to do, and yet all doing can continue to happen. Though others may see him working, the sage does nothing. Knowledge has banished effort. We find no reason to do or say. Though others may see him working, the sage does nothing. Knowledge has banished effort. He finds no reason to do or say. The same thing about doership, which we've looked at for a long time. The sage is fearless, unassailable, no darkness, no light, nothing to lose, nothing. The sage is fearless, unassailable, no darkness, no light, nothing to lose, nothing. Beyond all this play of opposites, of doing and not doing, of effort and not effort, of bondage and freedom, even beyond this darkness and light, this is also a play of consciousness, empty of all qualities. This is your reality. Once you see that you are beyond all qualities, what can you fear? I've been asking recently, isn't it? What can actually play in this world that can make a scratch or a dent on awareness? And if nothing can make a scratch or a dent on you, then what are we protecting? What are we defending? What are we attacking? The sage is fearless, unassailable, no darkness, no light, nothing to lose, nothing. Patience, discrimination, even fearlessness. What are these to the yogi? His nature cannot be described. He is not a person. Patience, discrimination, even fearlessness. What use are these to the yogi? His nature cannot be described. He is not a person. So really we cannot place a quality on this sage, although in the outward expression the sage might seem to have certain qualities. But in reality, they are empty of these notions about themselves. Patience, discrimination, even fearlessness. See, many times, for those who are new in spirituality, they can get a bit confused. How is it that this one who's supposed to be awake is behaving in this way? How is it that Maharaj was shouting at those who were coming to him? How is it that many great sages, when they used to have satsang, it might feel like somebody asks a question and they get so irritated with the question, they say, "You get out right now, leave." Somebody even said, "There's a limited space in this room. You're just taking up space. Get out." Like that. And then next day when they come, then the master says, "Oh, you came back? Okay, sit right next to the door because I might want to throw you out again. I don't want you disturbing everybody else." So what? How is this possible? Just like a child, all expressions are possible in a sage. There is no way that I must only be like this or only be like that. For a sage, there is no such thing. Consciousness is moving. You'll find that the outer expression, even sometimes like a child, mother says one thing and great, beautiful reaction comes, and sometimes mother says the same thing, a lot of irritation can come. So you cannot predict how a sage will respond to something. And yet, I feel like it is important in today's world also to make the point that this aspect about the unpredictability of a sage does not, cannot be used as an excuse for any sort of exploitation. So no, just like a child cannot exploit anyone, cannot manipulate anyone, cannot make use of someone. They are just in their own play. Same way with the sage. Momentary anger, momentary irritation, but all with the feeling of oneness, the feeling of love. Sage never, true sage can never bring themselves to exploit any of the children that come to him mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. It's just not possible. It can only be possible if there is a sense of tools. If the sense of two-ness is gone, exploitation is impossible. No heaven, no hell, no liberation for the living. In short, consciousness is void. What more can be said? No heaven, no hell, no liberation for the living. In short, consciousness is void. What more can be said? So when we come to this emptiness, empty of, like, we had this long discussion the other day about void and not void, and what the translation sometimes can be confusing in between Buddhism and Vedanta. See, empty of all qualities, including any quality that our mind can think up about being a void. See, this is the important point. Void, when you think of void, what are you imagining? Many of you could be imagining this big, black, empty space or something like that. But this one, is empty even of this quality, these qualities. Sometimes when we hear a term like this, you might feel like I must come to this big black empty space. It is not that. It is aware even of this. Does this awareness have a color? Is it big or small? Is it light or dark? Empty of all qualities. Qualities like no heaven, no hell, no liberation for the living, and so on. Consciousness is void, empty. All these tips are so that you can avoid these mind traps. I know that when you hear empty or void, it's very natural for the mind to come up, conjure up a imagination of big, vast emptiness, like the complete void. It's great because it is beyond quality, beyond time and space. No hell, no heaven, no liberation for the living. Short consciousness is void. What more can be said? The sage neither yearns for fulfillment nor frets over non-attainment. His mind is cool and brimming with sweetness. The sage neither yearns for fulfillment nor frets over non-attainment. His mind is cool and brimming with sweetness. We discussed this many times about the opposites of desire and aversion. Both these opposites are dropped. Detached from desire, the sage neither praises peace nor blames the wicked. Equally content in happiness and misery, he would not change a thing. Whatever might be the situation, whatever might be the life event, whatever might be the state of the body, whatever thoughts might be appearing, whatever emotions are there, the sage is not resisting. He is not chasing the taste of anything, not running away from the taste of anything. Whatever might come is allowed. This is openness. Nothing phenomenal is bigger than consciousness. Nothing phenomenal can be bigger than consciousness. Because everything is just appearing and disappearing within itself. So being has nothing to fear. Consciousness has nothing to fear. Because nothing can appear which is stronger than it. All that appears derives its strength from you, from being, from consciousness. The sage neither rejects the world nor desires self. He is free of joy and sorrow. He does not live and cannot die. The sage neither rejects the world nor desires self. He is free of joy and sorrow. He does not live and cannot die. So we've looked at all these aspects. The wise one lives without hope. He has no attachment to his children, wife, or anyone. Pleasure means nothing to him. His life is glorious. The wise one lives without hope. It's not a hopeless life. Hope means a form of desire. I hope this is what happens to me. I hope I don't have any visitors today. My Guruji tells this very beautiful story. One evening, he said one evening that he was just tired of meeting everyone. He just wanted to. There was no satsang, no visitors, nobody. He just said, this evening, I'm just going to have this nice long bath and I'm not meeting or talking to anyone. Most of you heard this story. So that evening, he had no appointments, nothing in the diary, all clear. He makes this nice English bath, English bath, and he's get into the bathtub, the body starts to relax. And as all of you might predict by now, the doorbell rings, ting tong. Says, Guruji, huh? Guruji says, no, no, not today. I am not opening the door. So the bell rings again, ting tong, few times. It rings. Guruji says, no, today is my relaxation time. I am not moving, I am not doing this. Then, a few minutes later, this contemplation arose to him. But who am I to decide what my evening is like? Who am I to desire a particular event to happen or not happen? So this intuitive realization came that he's going to be open to whatever comes. And next time when the bell rang, after a few minutes, his friends, they came back and the bell rang again. And this time in the openness, something moved and it opened the door. And here were his friends. And Guruji says that they came in and that's one of the best evenings he's ever had. The best time. This, we are not deciding on a particular outcome. He has no attachment to his children, wife, or anyone. Pleasure means nothing to him. His life is glorious. Don't worry about the 100% because you'll make a benchmark out of this. Oh, I'm still attached to my children. That means I'm not yet Ashtavakra or something. Don't worry about these 100%. So you'll start to notice that you will become more and more aware of these attachments and all this play of the human role will also start to get a lot more space within it. When we think about attachment, the natural idea is to think about, oh, what if they were taken away from me? Would that cause some grief? Or something like this. See, we think of attachment in that way. But actually, if you look at our relationships, you will know the nature of attachment, the subtler attachment, which is the cause of more suffering, is the attachment that this relationship should be this way, or they should be like that. This is how they should behave. There's this thing about not giving freedom to the world. We're attached to how our partner should be. We're attached to how our children should be. Anyone. Attached to how the Sangha should be. Attached to how the master should be. So, look at this and you start to find that as more and more freedom is found, we're not attached to the idea of how our children should be, how our partner should be, how anyone should be. these notions start to fall away. It's very natural in this human play, like when close relationships, some are members, children, partners, something happens to them, some grief is natural for it to come. And it is experienced naturally. Can we at least start by being free of our expectations of how they should be and how they should behave? That much is enough. I still wish my children would open the door a little softly compared to how they do. The sage wanders about as he pleases and lives on whatever may come. The sage wanders about as he pleases and lives on whatever may come. Contentment ever dwells in his heart, and when the sun sets, he rests where he is. The sage wanders about as he pleases and lives on whatever may come. Contentment ever dwells in his heart, and when the sun sets, he rests where he is. So, king or beggar is actually irrelevant. We talked about this renouncing and not renouncing, and I've said that we don't really have to renounce the world as long as we can renounce our limited identity. That much is enough. Now, whether after that you are in a palace or you are in a hut, doesn't really matter. There is no prerequisite for freedom except this openness to be open to the reality of what you are. Rooted in being, no thought of being born or reborn. The great soul is indifferent to the death or birth of his body. Rooted in being, no thought of being born or reborn. The great soul is indifferent to the death or birth of this body. Now, what has happened is because of beautiful spiritual concepts, there can seem to be an aversion to having another birth. I don't want to come back in this world again. I want to come to the end of the cycle of birth and death. But actually, as you start more and more to recognize your true position, and you start to see that nothing moves without your will as consciousness. You see that whether you have more dreams, whether you have no dreams, whether you have just one dream, whether this is the last dream, or you'll have a million more, it really doesn't matter. What is unchanging is the self. This is the recognition. You are the unchanging, unmoving one. And this one truly does not have a preference in that way. Knowing fully well that the dynamic play starts when it has to and it ends when it has to. There comes a point where there is a fatigue with this experiencing. Then whatever the experience might be, sleep is calling. Papaji said you might be on your wedding night in the arms of your beloved. And yet when you're done with the experiencing of this world, sleep is calling, and not even the arms of your beloved keep you awake. This whole universe, it dissolves. Nothing to experience, nothing to taste, nothing to desire, no aversion. Yet you are the unchanging truth. Then, for some reason which cannot be articulated or verbalized, we cannot even call it a primal urge within the self, truly. For some non-articulatable reason, there emerges this sense of being again. The entire play of experience begins. Phenomenal world, the non-phenomenal witness remains the same. Now there is the appearance of this phenomenal play. The body appears. The mind says this body is you. To awareness, nothing has changed. That's why this entire infinity of the phenomenal play appears out of it, and yet the self remains unchanged. Therefore, unconcerned with how many times this whole cycle will happen. But it is not held hostage. It is not that you are in a hostage situation, caught in the cycle of birth and death. You see, so being caught in the cycle of birth and death is a concept of the idea of who you are, not the reality of who you are. How can the one without qualities be caught in anything? Who has taken birth? Who is dying? Only when you put, like I said, only when you put a limited notion of yourself do these ideas apply. Okay, some questions are there in the chat. Anil says, Father, it is very, very difficult to sit in sensations of dying for all the time. Each atom vibration is felt. It does not feel like a solid body, but a vibrating body. I know that when strong bodily sensations like anxiety can appear, it can feel like Father said, nothing is stronger than you. Nothing can appear which can shake you. But when these things come, then it can feel like, oh, but this is very difficult. It's actually shaking me. So if it seems too strong right now, and it feels like you are actually truly shaking because of this, and it is not seen that these are appearances within you, then what I can do is send all my blessings to you and all my love and peace to you, and may this body find some stability. But when you are able to come to the truer perspective, you will see that even all of this, whatever the movement might be or might have been, it was never stronger than the being within which it was appearing. So don't try to necessarily understand these words right now. If it feels too much, then know that I am here for you, the Sangha is here for you as you experience all of this. And then we can look at the true nature of it, then things are a little better.
Namaste, Father. Father, there is no. The only confusion is that I feel there is a doership for this to be done. This vibration, etc. Everything is perceived within me, and I'm not affected by this. But the confusion comes that when you say you surrender to it, then I feel as if I have to sit within this sensation and feel it fully. I feel that as if I raise my consciousness to awareness and I see that all this is within me, then no, it is not mental. It is not mental. It is not mental. It is very much experiential. So then I feel no. I'm not doing justice to my instructions because uh, I'm not able to do this self-inquiry. I'm not able to. I'm not supposed to, take any positions. That is the confusion, Father.
Yes. So that's why I said that it's a two-part answer. One is that when these sensations, when you see, I joke about this and say this is level 3 of Donkey Kong. There are barrels, there are coconuts, everything being thrown at you. You see, then just forget about it. I'm there with you. I'm sending all my love and blessings. Don't worry about anything at all. Because everything that, any instruction that you get now will sound like a burden, like it is sounding to you. Even inquiry, look at your true position, try to see what your source is, are you awareness? You see? No. When things are too much, just there are these times where I say, no, nothing can be done, just go to sleep. You see? No practice, no yoga, no meditation, no self-inquiry, no you are the self, nothing. Forget it. Just go to sleep. Even if you're not getting sleep, don't worry about even that. Nothing has to be done.
So, Father, should I take medicines?
Yes, I've always said, to many, I've always said that if the problem is with the mechanics, then do what the mechanic has prescribed. So if it is in the physical functioning of the body, then do what the doctor has prescribed. There's nothing wrong with this. I've said that just because you are open to freedom, just because you're coming to the recognition of who you are, doesn't mean that your car won't break down. Just know that you are not the car. And the car breaks down, you cannot say, oh, but I'm open to the truth. Car breaks down, car needs mechanic. Body is a mechanical functioning, its experience is a mechanical functioning. So whatever the mechanic says is fine by me. Nothing will get in the way of your freedom. You don't have to torture yourself in any way. If something gives you relief, why not? Then, yes, there's a question, nice one. She says, can you speak on rooted in being? How to be rooted in nowhere? Yes. So being is synonymously used with the sense of presence, I am. They won't be able to hear what I'm saying. So it's like Nisargadatta Maharaj said, my master told me one thing, stay with the sense I am. And I just kept my attention on this sense I am, and I discovered that which is beyond even this I am. So this is that kind of instruction. So being rooted in being is how to, when I say, can you stop being? Our attention naturally goes to the sense of presence that exists. So this, now I've said often that in my case, maybe my attention span was not so good. So when I would hear this instruction, stay with the sense I am, or Maharaj said, I was just with the sense I am for 3 years, just 3 years, and I was free. And I heard, just 3 years? I can't even just do just 3 minutes. So there are some you've seen also in the Sangha who for them it is very natural to stay with the sense I am. And then there are those like me who didn't have this kind of attention span to be saying, okay. See, in fact, it became more of a frustration here, saying, I have to just keep my attention on being. So now, easier for me, and that's why I prescribed to the Sangha, was to just remain open, allow everything to come and go. And then what happens in openness? Naturally, you will find attention is with presence, without the sense of having to root it over there. You will find that naturally it is there. As you are finding. So, which was the verse? Verse 86. Rooted in being, no thought of being born or reborn. The great soul is indifferent to the death or birth of this body. And you see that this being is the light of this universe, is not dependent on the body. The mind has co-opted this sense of being and made it as if it is a aspect of the body itself. Many of you feel like this sense I am is contained in the body. That's why very often we do this contemplation, this checking. Is it that this being is contained in the sensations of the body, or is it that the sensations of the body are contained in the being? Then we see that this being is beyond the body sensations, the body visuals. Consciousness is I am. And as we recognize ourselves as this I am that I am, then the comings and goings of the body are no longer so relevant. That's what's coming up a bit about this verse. There's one more question. So I am mistaken in believing that the cycle of births and deaths comes to an end. This is confusing for me. Please elaborate. Yes. Now, Vidya. So Vidya and I actually, we have also discussed how, as the person which is non-existent, we cannot have will. Especially this idea of free will just falls away. But as being, the will of being, the will of God, must be completely free. Otherwise, God himself would be limited. Consciousness itself would be limited. So now, when we say, and it is common to say in spirituality, that coming to the freedom is the end of the cycle of birth and death, then we are creating a limitation in being. And then we have to make excuses like, okay, but when the sages come, they just come to help others around them. See, we don't need all of that. Consciousness is free to experience itself in any which way it likes. If after coming to the recognition of itself as self, it wants to play in 100 million more lifetimes, nothing can stop it. It causes no trouble, because trouble is only from the personal identity. So who has made this rule for consciousness that it must be the end of the cycle of birth and death? Nobody can make such a rule. No person was ever born. So this mistaken notion. Maybe it is derived from the idea that I no longer consider myself to be that which is subject to birth and death. Therefore, I come to the end of the cycle of birth and death. I was considering myself to be a limited entity, this body or this body is mine. So that, of course, undergoes these cycles of birth and death. What is born will die. You see? So as long as I've considered myself to be that, it can seem like I'm trapped in this cycle of birth and death. Once I've broadened my perspective, once I've seen what I really am, I've seen that even this birth and death have been only the play of my will as consciousness. And nothing, not even scripture can define the will of consciousness. It is beyond all definition. So we come out of the notion of being the entity which is being born and dying. So when we are looking now, when you're doing the inquiry, are you finding yourself to be that which is born and is dying? So in another way to put it then could be that actually you were never really in the cycle of birth and death. It is only what you considered yourself to be. One of Maharaj's favorite questions was, what were you before you were born? And if you were dead, then who was dead? Was there a you that was dead? Then if there was a you that was born, where did that you come from? Sant Kabir had said, isn't it? कहाँ से आए, कहाँ जाओगे? Where have you come from? Where will you go? Who is it that was born and who is it that was going to die? So, to break the cycle of birth and death, come to the recognition of that which is beyond birth and death. The unborn, the undying one is what you're recognizing. Now, if you find yourself to be this unborn, undying one, is that one really concerned about the cycle of birth and death? This being, this consciousness which takes birth, can it be limited to, can we say to our being when we go to sleep tonight, don't ever come back again? See, because I'm free now. You cannot say like that. Being goes when being goes. Being comes when being comes. So, some of these things have been said as reassurances in the past. That all this nature of birth and rebirth and death, all of this you have been subject to. Now you'll break through the cycle of birth and death. But actually, you are going beyond this cycle of birth and death to see that you were never truly born and you will never truly die. So now, there are other popular notions also where say that, yes, when there is death, may you merge into that one awareness. But that happens naturally. When you go to sleep also, that happens naturally. There is only awareness. Then how does being come? That is why I said that it's actually unexplainable. When there is only awareness, why does being come? I can give you 6 explanations and you can choose your favorite one. But I can promise you that none of them are the truth. See? So one explanation is I can say that within this awareness, there arose this urge to experience itself as something qualitative, as being. And that is why the world was created. But actually, when you come to this awareness, can this awareness have an urge? it is empty of all qualities, including urge and no urge. So that is also not true. Then you can say the only way to experience, for awareness to experience love is to be. So we are here to experience love. It's a beautiful one, yeah, and helps to remove this question for many. We are here to taste this love, to taste this oneness in a phenomenal way, which we call love. So we can say that. My favorite one, of course, is all of this is just entertainment. All there is was completely bored because it is all there is. So, yeah. So then it created this whole theme park, came gaming engine to experience all of this beauty and to you see, this is what the Leela means. That all of this is the entertainment of Hari, the Krishna's Leela. All of this is the big entertainment. So you can choose whatever. There are other answers given to this question, which I don't really, never really appeal too much to me, which is that the self itself is undergoing a process of evolution. You see, I never really was very much attracted to that because how can all there is go through evolution? Already all there is, what else do I need to be? So, but basically these are answers to remove the question. And I feel most of you are mature enough to realize that when we come to this quality-less self, then none of these answers actually stand up to this. Because everything injects a sense of quality to the self. Even the idea that it wanted to enjoy itself or experience itself, I wanted to experience something. So I would much rather say to you, because you have been in satsang, much rather say to you that it cannot be explained. There is no answer because all answers are just at best an explanation of an aspect of consciousness. Nothing can explain the arising and the dissolution of consciousness. Then all of these ideas of how the play of consciousness works, whether karma is true or not, whether reincarnation happens or not, all of these things we're not so concerned about because there is one cause, which is consciousness. There is one who is experiencing all the effects, which is consciousness. Who is to explain the mind of consciousness? There is no such thing. It does what it does. And if we have a limited notion of ourselves, then it doesn't like these answers, these non-answer answers. It doesn't like. It's like, so tell me, is there really reincarnation or no? It is the play of consciousness. It can play whichever way it likes. Tell me whether I must strive to come to the end of this cycle of birth and death. There is no you like that. Consciousness, when it wants to play birth, will play birth. When it wants to play dead, will play dead. When we consider ourselves to be limited entities, then our search for meaning as a limited entity brings us to these questions of what is the meaning of my life? What is the meaning of death? And as you go beyond this limited entity, you will see that you are beyond life and death. You are beyond states of waking, sleep, dream, turiya. If you are independent of them, does the rising or the going away of them really matter to the reality of who you are? It doesn't. Till then, you can pick any which one that you want from these answers. You like the experience loving thing? Very nice. You can take that one. You like the Leela answer? Leela answer is very nice. You can take that one. And you can tell me whether I should not spoil these answers by saying, yes, all of this is the Leela. I'm telling you authoritatively. And then you can believe me and you can say, yes, it's the Leela. But I feel like you're mature enough to hear that You cannot find meaning of life in that way. You can only find meaning by transcending the identity, finding that which is beyond birth and death. When we go to sleep tonight, you say, please, God, make sure that I don't have more than one dream, or I have 5 dreams, or I have 10 dreams. It doesn't really matter, isn't it? You want to share something more about that? Look at that camera? Okay. It'll take some getting used to because all of them are there. The camera is there. Okay, well, you see, if you want to share something more, let me read the next question. Shweta says, Guruji, it gets difficult for me to understand who is this self? Who is the one that I call myself? Who is the one that these thoughts come to? I try to introspect, but get no answer. It feels frustrating. What can I do in such situation? Then I'm not able to understand who is it that I call Shweta. It's not my body. It's not my thoughts. Then what is it? What is it? Even this question is not letting me look beyond it to understand it. Can you please help me with that? Shweta. No video. Okay. This is a very good place. Firstly, this is a very good place. It is this place which is more auspicious than the idea that I know who I am. The feeling that I know that I am Shweta, the notion that I know that I am Shweta is closed. Is it? We are convinced that we are the identity. Then this beautiful point comes where you say, I don't know whose body this is. I don't know whose thoughts these are. I don't know these emotions these are. Where is Shweta? It sounds just like Bulle Shah, isn't it? Yeah? Bulla ki jana main kaun. He said, the great Indian sage said, how do I know who I am? I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. This I don't know is very auspicious. It's very, very auspicious. This I don't know is very beautiful. Don't let the mind convince you that this is a bad place, it's frustrating. See, this is the beautiful place. In fact, for satsang, the journey of satsang, 99% of the seeming journey is to come to the I don't know. See, it's me shaking out this notion of who you are from all of you. Takes all the effort. But you say that I'm pre-baked. You see, I'm one ready to eat meal is what I hear in this. When you say, I don't know who I am, then it is music to my ears. You see? And I can tell you that from this beautiful I don't know, if you don't let your mind convince you that this is a bad place, it is frustrating, it is wrong, I must know, let it come and go. You remember Bulle Shah, he is the happiest. He doesn't know who he is, but he's fine. He's singing. No? Then, from this openness, from this emptiness of not knowing, when I give you the pointer, when I ask you, can you stop being? Who is it that is here? Then one day these questions will just hit home and will become so clear because they're not resisted. You see? What resists the inquiry is only the notion of who we are, which is just ideas. So now you are saying, I'm empty of these ideas. I see that there is nobody called Shweta. You see? And yet you still are here. Are you here or no? Shweta is not here, but you are here. So which is that one that is here? This is a beautiful inquiry. Enjoy this part of the play. See, it's the sweetest part. I know the mind will come as a villain over here and say, but you have to know the self, find the self. You see, no, this is very sweet. Empty of identity. Enjoy this emptiness, emptying of any mental identity. You say very beautifully, I like very much. I see there is no Shweta, which is the body. know Shweta, which is the mind, thoughts, emotions. You see, then who am I? It's beautiful. So, and it is for you, people like you, who've come to this discovery that I can't find this individual identity. We have created all these clues. You see? All these clues. So Ashtavakra now, I see you first time today, but Ashtavakra we've been doing for a few weeks, where all these clues have been given. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Drishti to get in touch with you somehow. Her name is Shweta Bhushan. You get in touch with her somehow and you send her all the clues, and you will see that these clues will just naturally lead you to a simple recognition. You see, with no rush, with no feverishness, I have to get it or something like that. You will see that these clues. What is it that is here? Can I stop being? Whose presence is this? Who is witnessing these presence? You see that it seemed difficult only because I was trying to find something. Now I'm coming to the discovery that I am no thing. I am not a thing. I witness all things, and yet I myself am not a thing. So all these clues will be there for you in satsang. And the more and more you come, you will hear all of this. You see, then you will see that such a blessing it was that I didn't know. Because all these who know who they are, think they know who they are, first have to come to the dropping of that knowing. And that is the more tedious part of the journey, you see, because we have spent so much time picking up ideas about ourselves. Now you come to me empty and say, where is this Shweta? I don't find her. Whose thoughts are these? Whose, whose mind is this? This is very beautiful. So you're very welcome. You're very welcome here. You're not staying for.
No, it's becoming very late.
Somebody says, I'm glad you said you were unable to stay with I am. When I try that, it feels strange. Like there are two and I am. So always feel that this is beyond me. Yes, here when I used to hear it before meeting Guruji, it was always this idea that I feel like the notion of the doer or having to do this to find freedom was getting perpetuated. But I've seen also those who find it very natural to stay with it. So I'm not putting down what Bhagavan suggested as a practice, which is a beautiful thing. So I'm not putting it down in any way, but I'm just saying that here I have to speak from what is experienced here. And I find that there is no prerequisite. You don't have the attention span to stay with I am for 3 years. It doesn't mean that you cannot recognize the self. Otherwise, I would not be here sharing with you. Shweta says, thank you so much. Guruji, can I please ask you one more question? Of course, maybe. Your mic doesn't work? Yes, it works.
I just switched it on. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is my first time. And last night I was watching one of Moji's videos in which, the person who asked him directly, I want enlightenment. Can you give it to me, please, now, right now? And, I actually found myself in the same state, the kind of frustration he was going through for not finding it, the kind of, because I've been through I don't say that I've been doing my kriyas regularly, but then it's been on and off. But then this information, it's so inundating, so much words, like I have been initiated into Kriya Yoga by Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. So like even when he says in his darshans, you know, I'm like, I don't want to listen to anything. Please just, you know, you just be with me. I just want to understand who is it that, you know, is comprehending all this. And I don't know. It's like kind of I just don't want the words. I just wanted to experience it myself.
Yes, yes, I know this feeling also. It was here also at some point. But my tip
Mm-hmm.
for you is that no, I do want this and I don't want this neither. Because you don't know who you are. That is the most beautiful empty neutral place. Now, everything that you define after that, including I don't want something, is trying
Mm-hmm.
to define who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? So don't say don't or do. Trust the grace that brought you here. Is it? Trust that one that brought you to Satsang. And that one
Yes.
is taken care of. You don't have any notion about what you want or what you don't want because it's not a true notion. Because you don't know yet who you are. If you don't know who you are, can you know what you want? No.
No.
What you don't want? No. Is it? So like a child, those who don't know who they are become like little children. When they know mother is taking care of us, I don't have a notion of whether I like milk or not. It's only after we become 3, 4 that we start saying I don't like milk, I want a soft drink or something.
But is it possible to understand the self as an experience it ourselves?
Yes, yes, it will become your own true recognition of yourself. Mhm. It is not just a concept. It's not just an idea.
Mm-hmm.
If the self was not experienced, if it is not your true recognition, then you would not be here. That's something for two things. One is to come to the direct self recognition, unchanging, unwavering truth. Second is the dropping of all of the false notion of who we are. Mhm. Now, you are already empty of most of these false notions of who you are. So that is already a great thing. And as you are empty of these false notions of who you are, it creates a lot of space for the simple self recognition.
Okay. Whenever sit in darshans with Sadhguru, you know, I find myself like being within the space, like, you know, wherein everyone is screaming, experiencing something, and I'm like, I'm not experiencing anything at all. And you know, people are like, you know, when I'm with Sadhguru, I forget um, my hunger, my sleep, and I'm like, I'm so hungry. I want to go and sleep because it's been like, you know, 3 hours. I can't take it anymore. So I feel that, you know, probably I'm the hardest nut in his satsang, in his darshans. Maybe, you know, I'm still not. I don't know. I feel that I'm still very, very far off.
This reminds me a bit of how this play was here. I said that I was a spiritual backbencher. You know what used to happen is that there used to be like this obsessive thing which felt like, okay, this is my path, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to crack it now, I'm going to crack it. So when I would start the Kriya, then for days I would do the Kriya, but like when I say days, know that it was just some 9 days, 10 days. It was not really, the 90 days, it was something like that. Then I
Uh-huh.
would start the inquiry, then I just the inquiry. Do the inquiry. Then soon the mind would come and say, no, I feel like your temperament is more devotional. I think we should do chanting. Yes, chanting. So then few days, Ram, 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 just Ram, Ram. He said, yes, I found my path. This is it. This is it. I'm just going to do this. After 7, 8 days, it's clear. What else is there? Maybe I should, do something else. I should read Krishna Murti, something like that. Then the intellectual part of it to get. So just like this. Like what is happening? These people they do the kriya for 90 days, every day they do the kriya. Why am I so it could feel like that. And I noticed that it was because of the play here was with this. I said no. When I used to read Maharaj saying, "Just be the sense I am," and just be the sense I am for 3 years, just 3 years. And I would hear 3 years. It does not happen like that. So none of this is a prerequisite. Different strokes for different folks. All of us have different temperaments, different conditions, different things that attract us. But, but the self is always there. If the self is something which is coming and going, then it would not be valuable. The only reason we are looking for the self is because it is the one constant, the one truth. So, irrespective of how this worldly play is playing to you, doesn't doesn't make you a backbencher of any sort in spirituality. You will see that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Vidya says, so one has to be free of both want and not want. One sees that there is no one here that wants and doesn't want. See? Now, I don't want to say yes unreservedly to what you said because I know the nature of the mind will pick it up, and getting rid of the wants itself has been so difficult. And now you'll hear, but now you must be rid of the non-wants also. So I don't want to give you that project. Like I was saying the other day, I have one pill, one medicine for all ills, which is let's find out who we are. Who are you now? This will get rid of desire, aversion, guilt, resentment, grievances, suffering, basically. Because all of those rely on the individual limited identity. As you're seeing that all of this is not true because I am not that, then you don't have to work on these aspects specifically. I've seen many in traditional paths who could get stuck in wanting to free themselves of their desires, wanting to make the mind pure or something like that. Let the mind be what the mind is. Let everything be as it is. Let the world be as it is. Let the body be as it is. Let the mind be as it is. Let emotions be as it is. You are that which is beyond all of this. You are the unchanging one. And before I get in trouble, and Nitya is already glaring at me, so before she she's like, here I am. Remember verse 6 from chapter 10. Yes, okay. Attached as you have been to kingdoms, sons, wives, bodies, pleasures, life after life, still they are now lost forever. Attached as you have been to kingdoms, sons, wives, bodies, pleasures, life after life, still they are now lost forever. So, simple one where you see that I am beyond all limitations, I am beyond all qualities, and I see that it is I that I considered myself to be, this limited entity, the name and form that had relationships, that had attachment to money, that had attachment to body, that had attachment to everything. So once I see that I'm beyond that, and the appearance of all of this doesn't make a dent on the reality of what I am, the appearance of the phenomenal world doesn't change the reality of what I am. And I see that I have not removed them. I have not removed these attachments, but I have transcended them. I see that they are now lost forever, not in the way that they do not appear anymore, My wife still appears. Karina still appears. My children still appear. The appearance is there. But the one that is attached, that one, if I was to look for that Ananta, that one is not here. I see that the play of Ananta continues. The play of consciousness playing as Ananta continues, the role of Ananta continues. But that one is not there. What is real is myself, that from which my being emerges and that into which my being dissolves. So all of this, these are aspects of my own being. So they vanish in that way because the owner of these relationships is not to be found, has been transcended and has been replaced with that one which is true, which is the unchanging one. Can you play with this image for a bit? I was joking earlier. Can we do that joke? What is it? No. We're joking and we're saying that. Let's see, how does it go? Now, what we're going to do is you're going to have darshan of Arunachala also, and you will have darshan of Ganga also. So, one moment is Arunachala. You feel the fire? You feel Arunachala? And this one is Ganga. You feel the Shanti, the Ganga nature? Can you see? And this is where we are in the middle. The middle of Rishikesh in Thiru, good old Bangalore.
Can you try to light? Can you play with it?
You want to play with the light?
Yeah, maybe I can just.
Yeah, switch on.
This.
How's the video? The shadow is very strong, but the video is good.
Now?
You can figure it out, but some light will help.
It's also strong on your eyes. No?
It is a bit, so we can get some of those more diluted ones. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Moji Ji ki Jai.
Sadhguru Shri Ananda Ji ki Jai. Jai.
Manju also says the same thing with experience there also. And Shweta was talking about her experience. Yes. It's not so uncommon actually. Many get caught up in the herd mentality. You see, that's the thing with Sangha sometimes, that everybody starts to pretend to be the same way. So it's good to come and say, no, you say I'm not experiencing any hunger after sitting in meditation for 3 hours. I am very hungry. This openness is very good here. We sing for Radha.
Yes.
It's Radha's birthday.
It's the next one, huh?
All those who are in Bangalore, come, rush out of your houses. We're going to order some food or we're going to go somewhere. You will sing this very well. I want to hear you sing.
Just singing it inside so loud. It was Shahan who sang it.
Yeah. Shan. Oh, Shan.
He recorded it also.
Yes, I saw. I heard the recording. But first, for Mama, what do we sing today? Turn the camera. Can you turn towards her? I'll tell
It's
you when
okay.
it's right. Okay, are we singing or what? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Radha. Happy birthday to you. What do you want to sing now?
You're born in blessed always. May you be
Blessed
blessed.
May Guruji bless.
Guruji bless you. May Guruji bless you. Happy birthday, dear Radha. Happy birthday to you.
Murali Manohara Gopala Ananda-Nandana Gopala Murali Manohara Gopala Ananda-Nandana Gopala Murali Manohara.
Gopala showed up.
Gopala showed up.
Did you hear the bhajan and come? Did you manifest yourself?
No
Did you
singing.
come just for the party? I was late. Your leg is okay. What happened? Why are you limping?
Thank you.
No singing, please.
Meera
Ke Madhava Gopala Shwara Gopala Meera Ke Madhava Gopala Radha Hridayeshwara Gopala Nand Sunandana Gopala Ananda-Nandana Gopala Murali Manohara Gopala Ananda-Nandana Gopala He Mayadishvara Gopala He Vaikunteshwara Gopala He Mayadishvara Gopala He Vaikunteshwara Gopala Gopi Janaranjana Gopala Ananda-Nandana Gopala Murali Manohara Gopala Ananda-Nandana Gopala
Finish.
Krishna Hari Om Gopala Krishna Hari Om Govinda Krishna Hari Om Gopala Krishna Hari Om Govinda Krishna Hari Om Gopala Krishna Hari Om Devaki Nandana Keshava Madhava Devaki Nandana Keshava Madhava Narayanaya Hari Om Govinda Krishna Hari Om Gopala Krishna Hari Om. Govinda Krishna Hari Om. Gopala Krishna Hari Om. Devaki Nandana Keshava Madhava. Devaki Nandana Keshava Madhava. Narayanaya Hari Om. Govinda Krishna Hari Om. Gopala Krishna Hari Om. Govinda Krishna Hari Om. Gopala Krishna Hari Om.
Okay, it's okay. Yes, yes.
The kids are also saying that.
So bye. Bye to everyone on the camera.
Flying fish.
Flying kiss all over.
Yeah.